Hey, what's up, folks? I'm got things switched around today. I'm just instead of on this phone camera thing for whatever stupid reason, you always seems like you always have to pick one direction. You can't flip in the middle of a video, as far as I know. So usually I do videos like pointed at my face, which my skin is even more fucked than normal today. So it's a good day. It's a good day not to do that. But anyway, I wanted to do a video showing an excerpt of my book. It's my article. It's on medium.com under the title America and the old, quote unquote, old world are each other's underworlds. And, but anyway, I'm going to print it as a book under the title The Beautiful West, which was the Egyptian name of America, Amentet Neferet. Anyway, so here I'm starting into the Egyptian section because it's talking about all the underworld traditions about America before that, like about, Mesopotamian, Hindu, etc. Anyway, here's like a photo or a comparison showing the Was scepter. It's like, I'm not sure exactly, it has to do with power and magic and stuff, but I'm sure it has a very definite actual meaning, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. And here it is in Egypt, and here it is in Mexico. So you have this same kind of thing where the Was scepter becomes a bone, potentially. Because here you see the Was scepter is in the bowl, and then he's, sending it to Horus or whoever this is, a bird deity. And then in this one, it's in this container, but it might be the same thing, but it's actually a bone, and then it becomes a Was scepter. So to me, this may symbolize that because they didn't have the same Was scepters, like as in Egypt, that were often made of bronze or whatnot, that they used a type of bone. And this may represent, since this looks like the same Ankh flanked by Was scepters, then this may be the, this is in Mexico, this may be the Aztec equivalent. And so this would be the Ankh, symbol of life. And then these two Was scepters are leopard shin bones, or yeah, I guess it's shin bones, whatever, something like that. So that might be the stand-in the Mesoamerican context, because a lot of times they carried over the traditions, but they would alter it to fit the, materials and circumstance, and sometimes adapt it to other local traditions. All right, so Warren, this is William Fairfield Warren. He was a wrote in his 1909 book, A Scholar Select Book for Vital Information to Understand Civilization. It's called The Earliest Cosmologies. Nearly every eminent Egyptologist except Maspero holds that the ancient Egyptians were acquainted with the true figure of the earth, and that they had all the astronomical knowledge necessary to enable them to orient pyramids and temples to a hair's breadth, and to harmonize the solar and lunar years. Brugsch, Chabas, Liebling, and Lefebvre are of this opinion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these names right. Liebling, in fact, confidently maintains that the texts show that the ancient Egyptians already understood and believed the heliocentric theory of the universe, so that they understood that ultimately, despite all the symbolic, gods and the way they portrayed everything stylistically, but that they ultimately understood that that it's the Earth that revolves around the sun more than it is the other way around. Although, theory of relative, I mean, it's really, everything's relative, right? But this is another Egypt, Mexico. This is a certain type of motif, and man and wife. And I think wife is maybe Venus, or Isis represents Venus, and the man represents Osiris. So that's why the women were showed like depicted bright yellow. It's not because there were bright yellow people in Egypt or Mexico. It's just because they were viewed as being representatives of Venus, and then the man is a representative of Osiris, who's the earth. And because, it's the same as Adam, because humans were originally made from the earth and were the color of the earth, before Neolithic mutations or whatever. So he's the earth, and then she's just bright yellow or gold because she's Venus, the brightest planet. The only planet that I think it's the only thing besides the moon and the sun that leaves a shadow on the earth. George Steindorf described ancient Egyptian texts. Under the earth is supposed to lie a counter-earth, which is made exactly like the earth and the heavens, and which is peopled by the dead. Describing Egyptian cosmology, Warren refers to this conception of an underworld which is the perfect antipodal counterpart of our overworld. Gerald Massey said that in the making of Amenti, the one earth was divided into upper and lower, with the firmament or sky to each, and thus the earth was duplicated. Right, so I think, as I said in an earlier video, Nut, the sky goddess, is often depicted one on each side, like one under the underworld and one over the overworld. This is Bes, ancient, Egyptian god, and I think his face might be meant to signify, symbolically depict multiple things. It's a layered meaning, probably. I mean, like, even this could be a body, like, because they say he's a god of childbirth. So I was thinking these could be like legs, and this could be, head and arms. Who knows? I'm not really sure. I think there's stuff going on in here. And then this is what seems like an equivalent of him in Mexico, and I believe an Aztec codex. The god Bes at Philae, and the Aztec Codex Barbonicus. So I actually saw this at Philae last year, and was really cool. It's like they're just sitting around. It's like this is just a block like sitting on the ground there, and there's all kinds of amazing stuff in Egypt everywhere. Bailey writes, I think this is Jim Bailey. He was the publisher of Africa's largest newspaper, the African Drum, out of Johannesburg, I believe, and he wrote about America. He wrote a book, Sailing to Paradise, and the Egyptian word Tuat for the underworld is clearly the underside of the earth, not the center of the earth. It should be noted that Amenti lay to the remote west of Egypt, where the sun went at night. Amenti is the Coptic word for Hades. America was known to Egypt as Tuat. So he's explaining, here he explains where it is. It's on the underside of the earth vis-a-vis Afro-Eurasia, to the remote west of Egypt, where the sun went at night. And he says that in Greek it's Hades, and it's still used in Coptic today. It's still the name for Hades in Coptic, and that it's America. So this is an ancient Egyptian. This is probably the pharaoh Ramesses. What is this? I don't know. One of the Ramesses, maybe. Anyway, it's a pharaoh suckling at the teat of Isis, I guess, probably. And so I think this may relate to the sun passing by Venus, like Venus rising when there's some conjunction or something. And then this is an equivalent, what looks like an equivalent in Mexico, although it's unclear. These may be constellations because you have these strange circles here, and I'm guessing that they represent stars, like that this is a constellation because they're so randomly placed or like seemingly specifically deliberately placed. All right, Bailey writes of America, that was in the Tuat, the place where the sun was at midnight, the paradise land. Warren writes, as the name of some region of the world, the word Tuat is found in the very oldest of Egyptian texts. And it tends to be in the older ones, it's called Dot. And it's also called Duat or Tuat, and but in the earliest ones, it seemed to have been more of a one-syllable thing. As Budge correctly states, it is ordinarily translated underworld. Renouf expressly states that it was below the earth. Steindorf says underneath the earth. It is described by Adolf Ehrman, who led in the decipherment of ancient Egyptian grammar, as a kingdom of light, the dwelling place of the gods who traveled with the happy dead on those beautiful ways where the glorified travel. And this might be partly related to, like, there's a line that the Grateful Dead used on a lot of their, like on one of their famous posters, or maybe on an album cover that was quoting from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and it was talking about the Grateful Dead passing through the land of the midnight sun or something like that. And so I'm not sure what they took that from, but it's basically at least paraphrasing American, infernology about America, the underworld, something like this. It might even be paraphrasing this. The happy dead, that they might have just translated this as, or maybe another translation, because there's a million translations of a lot of these things with different Egyptologists. So Grateful Dead might be another translation, or they might have just tweaked it to this. It was close to that. The nightly journey of the sun from the place of his setting to the place of his rising lies in this elusive land of Tuat. The sun god does not enter the land of Tuat proper immediately on sinking below the horizon of Egypt, but only after making 1 hour's journey and passing through the nearer of the two parallel semicircular mountain ranges. So I think those are the Akits, the horizon, mountains of the horizon, which are associated with the space between Newt's arms and Newt's legs. Like there's one for the evening and one for the morning, I think. In like manner, the 12th hour of the voyage is not in Tuat proper, but is spent in passing from Tuat proper to the eastern horizon of Egypt. George St. Clair writes, Deveria says that that the manuscripts of the Book of the Lower Hemisphere found in the Egyptian tombs are almost all retrograde, and certain illustrations depict the dead upside down. On the sarcophagus of Seti, the mountain at the entrance of Hades is upside down. Dr. Birch, in his Book of the Dead, makes Amenta to be the inverted precinct. TL calls it the reversed world. So vis-a-vis Afro-Eurasia, America is upside down. And, so our mountains are upside down, our people are upside down, the celestial bodies that we see going over us are retrograde vis-a-vis Afro-Eurasia. So this is the oldest map that I know of America. The Hierakonpolitan hellscape. It's from Tomb 100 at Hierakonpolis. It's about 5,500 years old. And so, you know, we can see here Greenland. And this was when Greenland was virtually attached to Russia, or, yeah, basically Russia. And so, yeah, it was, yeah, part of Russia, basically. I mean, that might have been ice. I'm not sure if that was all land per se. I mean, honestly, like a lot of Greenland is barely land, at least nowadays. It's all like if you get under the ice, it's all like a bunch of little islands, or a lot of it is. Anyway, so then, and you can see here's Hudson Bay, that's right here. And you can see how much wider the, you know, Florida was like during the Ice Age, or at least like, you know, over 5,000 years ago, even the sea level was much, much lower. So the coastlines were much further out. So like all this was probably coastline, although it does seem that Hudson Bay was still a bay at that time. But yeah, Florida was much, much wider here, as you can see, and has this kind of flat end on it. And the Yucatan Peninsula here in southern Mexico is also much larger compared to what it is today. You know, it probably included all this. And you can see Baja California sticking out here. And also that's probably bigger than it. That was probably bigger than it is now as well. And, you know, it shows South America. This might be like, you know, Nicaragua and whatnot area. And then this is South America here. And then this seems to be Easter Island, when it seems to have actually originally been connected the same way that Greenland was once seemingly connected to Russia. Easter Island, Rapa Nui, seems to have been probably connected via the Nazca Ridge to the Andean region here in South America, like in Peru. You know, or it might have been connected to Chile via the kind of, there's some islands that are kind of between Chile and Rapa Nui, so maybe those were a land bridge at one time. The oldest map of America that I can confirm was in the oldest known Egyptian painted tomb, namely Tomb 100 at Hierakonpolis, dating to around 3,500 BC. It was the centerpiece of the painted wall on the tomb's southwestern side, consistent with the antipodal underworld tradition. So, you know, because the exact opposite side of the planet from Egypt is in South America, and since they're, you know, viewing it as towards the west, since the west is the quickest way to get there, I think that might be why it's on the southwestern side. And I mean, the ultimate and the exact antipode of Egypt is in probably the south, is in the South Pacific. But as far as a landmass, I think America is probably the closest landmass, and especially for like the middle of Afro-Eurasia. You know, it's hard to know exactly where all these traditions started. So here's the tomb itself. Here's where it's painted. You know, this is the deceased, you know, probably the proto-pharaoh, basically the equivalent of a pharaoh. And may have been actually descended from Americans. It's hard to know, but like mummification began in South America, or seen, the earliest mummification we know of is in Chile among the Chinchorro people, and then it was seen next in Libya and then in Egypt. So it may be that the Chinchorros themselves, who were a sea people and fishermen and all that, that they went around to Egypt, to Africa, and were at least one ancestral element of the pharaohs. Hierakonpolis tomb 100 with the painted inner wall on its southwestern side. It was painted with east and west reversed and with north and south reversed, similarly to the modern antipodes map shown on the next page. For this reason, I have flipped the images of the Hierakonpolis map to show the more familiar bird's eye view of America, and I generally show it with north being up instead of west being up as it originally was, to be more easily recognizable to people who are familiar with north being up in modern maps. I have also restored the color to a faded portion of North America. So what I did really was I just changed the tint on the color of the image, and somehow it filled in the faded portion, or it made it darker, so made it more like the original. So this is like a modern antipodes map, and just like the Hierakonpolis one, it's done from the perspective of Afro-Eurasia. So Afro-Eurasia is, quote unquote, upright in the modern Western cartographical sense. North is up, but America is the antipodal land. Like all in orange is antipodal, so it's on the exact opposite side. So everything like here, what this means is the exact, like if you're in Spain, the exact opposite side of the planet is like whatever island this is, like, I don't know, Fiji or something, Hawaii, or I don't know. Anyway, or like if you're in Siberia here, the exact opposite side of the planet is southern, Tierra del Fuego. So, and that's the only way you can make this map, is to turn the antipodes kind of inside out or backwards. So not only is America is south shown as up, and also part of Antarctica, like that side of Antarctica, but it's also flipped east to west. So even if you changed it, corrected the north-south thing to what, or changed it to what we're used to, it still would be flipped. We'd still also have to flip it east to west, because it's shown inside out. It's shown from underneath. This is like as if we're looking straight through the planet and we're looking at the underside of America, or we can see it from underneath as opposed to from like the sky. So it's backwards. And so this is Florida, this is Baja, modern antipodes map. William Fairfield Warren writes of a most curious and instructive, this just kind of relates to also this tradition, or just the fact that the antipodes are reversed, and that people were very well aware of that, and that that there were a lot of traditions about that. Warren writes of a most curious and instructive funeral custom among the modern Karens of Burma. This tribe have precisely this Homeric conception of an antipodal Hades. A most competent authority gives us the following account. When the day of burial arrives and the body is carried to the grave, 4 bamboo splints are taken, and one is thrown towards the west, saying, "That is the east." Another is thrown to the east, saying, "That is the west." A third is thrown upwards towards the top of the tree, saying, "That is the foot of the tree." and a fourth is thrown downwards, saying, "That is the top of the tree." The sources of the stream are pointed to, saying, "That is the mouth of the stream." And the mouth of the stream is pointed to, saying, "That is the head of the stream." This is done because in Hades everything is upside down in relation to the things of this world, the things of Afro-Eurasia. Warren writes of the Greeks and Karens. Both simply inherited from their fathers the old pre-Hellenic Asiatic idea of an antipodal underworld. Ages ago, the notion which underlies the Karens' rites was so prominent in the mind of the East Aryans that the sudden and inevitable reversal of the points of the compass consequent upon entering the underworld became a poetic circumlocution to express the idea of dying. Thus, before thou art carried away dead to the under by the royal command of Yama, before the four quarters of the sky whirl round, practice the most perfect contemplation. So that's like Yama, that's like either Buddhist or Hindu type thing. Yama, ruler of the underworld. So this is again that map turned on its side this time, the Antipodes map, and compared with the Hierakonpolis map. And this is the faded portion, so this one is the original, so I haven't tilted it to kind of restore that. But this is just, yeah, I think it's just faded. Unless it's meant to like represent, I don't know, desert or ice or something like that, but I think it's just faded. Anyway, so you can see how it's like almost, it's so close, like the way even they depict Antarctica, like the American side of Antarctica is almost exactly the same. They make America smaller, I think, to fit into the picture and to fit between all these boats and stuff. But other than that, it's very similar. And of course, the direction is the same. Like the Gulf of Mexico is on the bottom, Baja California is on the top, and such. Modern Antipodes map and the Hierakonpolis map as it was on the tomb wall. The Hierakonpolis map was recently erased by archaeologists who claimed it was a stain covering up the real painting. In the process of erasing the map, they also severely damaged the rest of the painting. That is a perfect example of modern institutional archaeology's destruction of ancient sites and suppression of truth. So this is what these scum did to it. They destroyed it. Vandals. The Hierakonpolis Tomb 100 painting before and after it was vandalized by archaeologists. And they do this type of shit all over the world, honestly. Let's see, I think it might cut me off soon, but I'll just go till it cuts me off. My phone just can record about 30 minutes. The Hierakonpolis map depicts the shape of Greenland more accurately than many modern maps. This is true. Many modern maps greatly inflate the shape of Greenland. They make it much wider, such as the satellite map on the next page. Unlike the celebrated Waldsee-Miller map of 1507, also on the next page, the Hierakonpolis map includes Baja California and Hudson Bay and the Canadian Arctic archipelago, as well as the pointy tip of South America. The relative sizes of North and South America are much better depicted in the Hierakonpolis map than in the Waldsee-Miller map. And this is the Waldsee-Miller map here. This is the map that named America. I mean, it actually named South America, America, and it named North America, Parius. I mean, I don't think I'm not sure, or it like relayed, it brought it to the world. Probably those names were already known to other people, but this, and this, again, this is a modern satellite map. And you can see how badly they screw up the shape of Greenland compared to the shape of it in the Hierakonpolis map, which, I mean, it doesn't show it here because I'm just showing part of it, but this 5,500-year-old map was much more accurate in many ways than like this satellite map is. and satellite map of America, the Hierakonpolis map, and the Walt C. Miller map of America. And the Walt C. Miller map seems to have used Egyptian source. I think he admitted to using Ptolemaic, and Egyptian maps as a source, because this map was made before supposedly any of this had been discovered. Supposedly all they had discovered was like this coastline here and maybe like a little bit here in the Caribbean. But, he knew from older maps what the rest of it was like, at least to an extent. All right, let's see. Not sure if it's still recording. I guess it's still recording. I don't know. I'll just keep going, I guess. The Walt C. Miller map was the best European map of its time and may have been partly based upon pre-Columbian maps of America, since it includes many geographic details not thought to have been seen yet by Europeans in 1507. Its actual name is the Universal Cosmography according to the tradition of Ptolemy and the discoveries of Amerigo Vespucci and others. And in it, he says the name America might be from Amerigo Vespucci, but it's clear that, or it seems that he doesn't know, and that it was already the name. So it's probably not from Amerigo Vespucci, honestly. Ptolemy ordered this system of longitude in his world map based upon degrees east of America, which he calls the Islands of the Blessed. Ptolemy wrote in his geography, the western limit is bounded by the meridian drawn through the Islands of the Blessed, which is 60.5 or 4 equinoctial hours from the most eastern meridian. Walt C. Miller reportedly interpreted the Islands of the Blessed as the Canary Islands, which seems to have wreaked havoc on his map of Afro-Eurasia, using Ptolemy's description of those lands. Since there's reason to suspect that Walt C. Miller used ancient maps of America, he may have called the Canaries the Blessed Isles to throw off the scent. Either way, that does, I don't know, I might take out this sentence because it's kind of speculative. Either way, that designation is still the orthodoxy, which is why multiple books have been written about Ptolemy's supposed longitudinal error, trying to find explanations for why he positioned Africa so far east of the Canary Islands. All right, I'll leave it there for this, and yeah, take care. And I don't know if you can share this information, that would be awesome, because it's very rare and, endangered knowledge. Thank you.